أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. A few minutes of your time, inshallah, a quick commentary on the beautiful surah that my dear brother has just recited. So the surah is obviously talking about things that we will all witness, no doubt. All of us, whether we are under the ground or over it. The earth shaking, the earth bringing out whatever it had hidden, in preparation for that day where we will all be held accountable for things that we have done, no matter how small, no matter how big. And Allah says in the Quran, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. Whoever does the weight of a dharra of good will see it. Or whoever does the weight of a dharra of evil will see it. Some explain this dharra to mean what? You know the particle of dust. You know when you enter a dark room, but you have a ray of light accessing that room, and you see particles in the air. One particle of these, that's a dharra. Very small. And it is narrated that actually these verses were revealed when some companions of the Prophet, they would start to belittle their bad deeds, their sayyi'at. Saying that these are little, so what? They would actually belittle the good deeds as well. They would say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to give charity of the things that we love, not the things that we don't love or does not affect us. So why should we give pennies? So we shouldn't even give pennies. That's really short, really little. It doesn't count. So they belittled the good. And these verses were revealed. That you cannot belittle any good or any evil that you do, especially when the one who's holding you accountable is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is narrated that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, in a beautiful will that he would be giving to Abu Dhar, he would say, Abu Dhar, don't consider how small the sin is. لا تنظر إلى صغر الخطيئة بل انظر إلى من عصيت. But consider whom you have disobeyed. My dear brothers, my dear sisters, the greatness of the accountability of that day is not really about how little the bad things that we have done might have been or might be. It is about who is holding us accountable. When we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the King of the Kings, the Rabbul Alameen, the Lord of every existence, He will be the one holding us accountable. Then even if we come on the Day of Judgment with little, small, insignificant sins or sayyi'at, even those become very critical. That's something very important for us to remember. Of course, remembering death, remembering the afterlife, remembering what is going to come after, this is something that the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the Ahlul Bayt, the Quran itself is riddled with verses like this. It is said that almost a quarter of the Quran talks about the death and what is going to come in the afterlife. Not to depress us. Not to depress us. If you see in our teachings, there's so much emphasis on remembering that day. So much emphasis on remembering death. Anticipating death. Anticipating it and remembering it. Because remembering death does not depress us, but actually it charges us with positivity. It charges us with this energy that pushes us to do more, to serve more, to have a higher and greater impact as much as we can. When we realize that the number of breaths that we will have in this world is limited, that the clock is ticking, that we don't know when we will be leaving this world. This actually should push us to do good. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam says that when we remember death and when we anticipate death, it should push us to hasten to good deeds, to hasten to do good. But of course, we should not take our good deeds for granted. As in, we should not expect that the actions, the good actions that we do, no matter how great they are, that they will be the ones saving us on the Day of Judgment. That's a very subtle point. Sometimes we think that, look, I'm doing this great thing, good thing. I'm praying Salatul Layl, for example, on top. I'm doing the mustahab salawat. I'm doing this and that. I'm serving the community. And therefore, I'm certainly, inshallah, saved on the Day of Judgment. You cannot take that for granted to be something that saves you on the Day of Judgment. It is a condition for salvation. Yes, to be good, to do good. It is narrated that Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, the companion of the Prophet ﷺ, when these verses were revealed, that whoever does a dharra weight of good will see it, whoever does a dharra weight of evil will see it. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri goes to the Prophet and says, "O Prophet, will I see my deeds?" He says, "Yes." "Will I see the greatest of the great of them?" The Prophet says, "Yes." "Will I see the smallest of the small?" The Prophet says, "Yes." Abu Sa'id al-Khudri would say, "What a loss I am in now." The Prophet would give him a glad tidings. He would say, "Look, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised that the hasana is multiplied by 10, even is multiplied by 700, even is multiplied by as much as Allah wishes. And the sayyi'ah is just 1 to 1. But know, Abu Sa'id, know that no one will be saved by what he does." Abu Sa'id would reply to the Prophet. He would say, "Even you, O Prophet of God?" The Prophet would say, "Even me." You know what the Prophet would say? He would say, "Wala ana," even I am not saved on the Day of Judgment with my deeds. The Prophet of God, Habibullah, Rasulullah, Khayru Khalqillah. ولا أنا إلا أن يتغمدني الله برحمة منه أو بالرحمة. Neither am I saved except if Allah envelops me with His mercy. And so we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we say, "Oh God, if your Prophet of mercy, if your beloved of the beloved will not be saved on the Day of Judgment except with your mercy, what do we have to offer to say that we are saved on the Day of Judgment?" We ask Allah, inshallah, that He may envelop us with His mercy. For indeed we are in loss. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. We are in great loss, except if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala treats us with His mercy, not His justice. If He treats us with His justice, transactionally, 1 to 1, for what we have done, we will all be doomed, except with the mercy of God that He promised. وَرَحْمَتِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. We ask Allah, inshallah, that He may envelop us with His mercy, that He may give us all the strength to serve Him as pleases Him, inshallah, and that every action that we do, every word that we say, all the actions of our days, from the beginning to the end, are like one wirdan wahida. Yeah, like Amir al-Mu'mineen says, like just one action that is in the service of You, O God. And inshallah, we would be honored and we would be saved with attaining God's mercy in this world and in the afterlife. May Allah bless you all and accept all your a'mal, inshallah, and all your efforts. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.